Hello, I'm Alexandra Sleator, Career Accelerator. And what that means is that working together, we can make sure that you achieve your career objectives faster than you would on your own. We can work together on a range of things. For example, we can work on progressing your career. That means devising a strategy so that you absolutely get the promotion that you so rightly deserve. Or we can repackage your skills so that you can apply for a new role. We can support you in your current job by helping you polish and even possibly develop such core skills in the workplace like communication, influence, team effectiveness, presentation skills, and of course leadership. And finally, we can assist you through a career transition, for example, making a success of coming back to the workforce after a career break, or redefining success if you would like to embark on a new career, maybe change industry. The important thing is that no matter what your ambition, we can work together to make sure you achieve it in a cost and time efficient way. So welcome to fall, welcome to autumn, and here in London where I live, the rain is back, although I'm lucky today I have a little bit of sunshine that helps me record this video in natural light. But I've noticed that the mornings and the evenings, of course, are chillier, and the nature around me is changing. In my small garden I see that the leaves are turning all shades of yellow and red. It's quite exciting, it's really beautiful. And so this season of change has put me in the mind to talk to you today about change. And in fact, I realized I had a lot to share with you around the theme of change. And so it's going to take me 2 videos. In this first video, we'll look at your experience of change. It's a bit of a joke these days that the only constant in people's lives, especially at work, is change. In organizations, it's one wave of change after the other. It's unrelenting, it's relentless, never-ending. And so it feels punishing, it feels heavy, it feels uncomfortable. And so we'll look at that and how you can make your experience of change mentally and physiologically less uncomfortable. And then in the next tutorial, we'll take it a step further. Because a lot of us are asked to participate, to contribute, to lead change. And so there it will be about how can you help others through a change journey? How can you motivate them, support them, so that change is not too painful for others? So let's kick with your experience of change. And so for that purpose, I've put together for you a little process that I call VEER, V-E-E-R. You know me, I like simple models. I find them helpful to grasp things, concepts. And so this is really a process to help you understand and manage yourself through the news of change, the process of change, the rollout of change. So that if, again, change is uncomfortable for you, mentally and physiologically, then things can look up. So let's get started. The first step is V for vibe. And indeed, this is the reaction stage. You've heard the news that change is coming. What's your gut feel? What's your initial vibe? And for many of us who don't like change, we're tempted to go into a place of denial. And I want to suggest to you, don't do that. Because when you're in denial, you're cut off from reality, and so you could be missing out on an opportunity to engage with change, to further your own agenda, to make sure that change impacts you in the most positive way, or at least the least negative way. So I want to say to you, denial is a lost opportunity. So instead, whatever your natural reaction is, whatever that vibe that comes out, just let it roll. Now, some of us will naturally like change, and so for those people, they will feel energized. Their emotions are going to be around curiosity and excitement, And in their heads they'll have thoughts like, oh great, I was getting bored, what's coming up? But for most of us, change is usually leading to something a bit less positive, and in fact sometimes quite negative. In terms of our physiological reaction, it can be some sort of tenseness in various areas of our bodies. And in fact, some of us have been known to lose sleep over the prospect of change. And in terms of the emotional content, it will be around anxiety, nerves, and even anger. And the thoughts in our minds could be around, cynicism, oh, change again, same old, everything changes but nothing really does. Or thoughts around doubt, so thoughts around concern, thoughts around worry. And I want to say to you that even if your natural vibe around change is negative, just let it happen. Because if you bottle it up, you repress it, or you go into denial, which is another form of repression, then it will come out eventually, and it will be both stronger and longer lasting. So allow yourself to just react the natural way that you want. Give yourself permission for that vibe, and then you're ready to move on. And that's stage number 2, which is the first E for explanation. No matter who we are, and we're all so different, right? We all need to understand why change is coming. That's a universal desire I've observed. But what is different is that each of us needs something a little bit different when we hear the rationale for change. For example, some of us like details, so we'll want specifics. We'll be very interested, for example, in the steps that change means, in order to get to that changed outcome. And for the others, no, it doesn't need to be so specific, so detailed. It needs more to be a vision that, we can embrace. Some of us will be more interested in the past. We'll want to ask, what was the problem? What was broken that it needed fixing through that process of change? And others won't care about the past and be more future focused and say, what's the vision? What's the big picture? That's beckoning out there, and they will want to be inspired by that and look forward. So some of us will want to know who instigated the change, and if somebody not credible will be very doubtful. So all of us need different things around an explanation, and in particular an explanation of change, in order to be able to figure out for ourselves whether we're going to buy in or not. So what I've noticed though is that corporate communication around change can be often extremely poor and very frustrating. So at this stage of explanation, my suggestion to you is twofold. First, be clear about what you need to hear, what the word explanation means to you in that context of change. And then once you know what you need to know, go out and get it. And hopefully the corporate communication will give you part of the answers, but if it doesn't give you all of them, then you need to get your information network working. Ask colleagues who themselves have, friends in HR, for example, who may know more. See about the senior colleagues that you're relatively close to that you can ask, because they could have more information because they're higher up in the food chain. And so what happens with this process of looking for an explanation is that it's a process where, you're in your head and you're also acting. And that's a process that is usually calming, so you're really coming down from that vibe, and especially if the vibe was negative, you're managing it down, you're calming yourself. Now, you have a choice to make, and there we start getting into the third phase, which is the second E for effort. Because now that you have your explanation, what do you think about it? Are you convinced? Are you buying the rationale for change? Let's assume no. You find the change abhorrent. What are your options then? Well, you could obviously pack up and leave. Or you could stay and oppose the change, discuss it, show your negative opinions, and you could try to block change. Now, sadly, what I've observed is that usually when organizations roll out change, they're very committed to it, and so they don't listen to opposition, and so opponents could just get steamrolled. So the best I can advise is that if you don't feel you can leave, and then you're really not, enthusiastic about change, is find yourself a sideline. Don't make too much noise and hope that nobody notices. But let's be more positive. Let's assume that somehow in the process of explanation you found something that spoke to you, so that you're not necessarily completely bought in, you're not necessarily completely enthusiastic about the change, but something spoke to you and you can live with that change. You can reconcile yourself to it, you can somewhat align yourself to it. So, my question then to you is, so what can you contribute to the change? Because you see, in that process of getting yourself aligned, which is a mental process, already you're managing yourself in a constructive way and change is less painful. The next step is to engage behaviorally with the change, even if it's a small behavior. It doesn't need to be all the time that you're at the forefront. But what can you do to be part of the change? And you know what you're good at, you know what you're interested in. So try and be part of the change, and again, doesn't have to be huge, depends, on your own terms. You may want to have a chat with your line manager or colleagues or friends around what you can bring to the party, what skills, what talents you have that will play to your strengths, but of course be also of service to the organization as the change rolls out. And so that's the effort part around your contribution. And again, it's going to be different depending on who you are. For example, if you're somebody who likes concepts, well, you'll be particularly good at the beginning of change when the details of the change are being fleshed out, because you can make useful suggestions to refine the change. If you're more practically minded, then you're more likely to have something to bring at the delivery stage. Some people are great at kicking things off, some people are better at seeing things through. So again, know yourself, your strengths, your interest, and engage with the change on your own terms. So let's recap where we're at. You allowed yourself to have your initial vibe, then you went out and got an explanation on the basis of which you decided that something in the change spoke to you, and so you decided to make an effort and engage with it. Sounds blissful. Reality check. Here at the fourth stage, it's R, and that's for roadblock. And indeed, that's because change is messy, and so it won't happen like they're telling you it will. Something will happen to mess it all up. And so here I would like just to, a little word of caution. Even when it's going well, and I'm hoping that with the first 3 steps of the VR method, you are indeed going to have a more positive, more constructive experience of a change journey. A word of caution. Be aware that, things could not go according to plan, and so manage yourself proactively. Think ahead. When you're on a roll, what usually derails you? What is it that you don't like, that can blindside you? What are your pet hates? Let me give you an example. Me, it's slippages. If I've decided that I'm committed to something, then I want it to move according to the schedule. And if we get behind, the more we get behind, I get very flustered, and I could even completely lose my motivation. So that's my derailer in a process of change, that if I've committed to it and I'm participating and doing my effort piece, slippage is the one that could be my roadblock. So again, know yourself, know the things that make you see red, that can really get in the way of your own motivation, your own momentum, and manage yourself proactively so that indeed you don't lose the focus, you don't lose your energy, and you can stay with the change. So there you have it. 4 steps, simple, but I hope again comprehensive enough around managing yourself through a change journey using the VEER process. So if you have so much change in your life, in your organization, I hope that VEER will be of use. And let me encourage you to share, in the comment box, what is your experience of change today? Is there too much change going around? How are you coping? And what do you think of VEER? My email address is appearing on the screen as usual, and so please feel free to contact me with comments, queries, as usual. And I will look forward to seeing you next time to talk more about change, more around leading change. So the next change, not just managing it, but really being part of it very actively. So I hope that this was useful. Thank you so much as ever for watching, and see you very soon. Bye bye.